Hi, I'm Dr. Sarah Lundstrom, and we're going to get started with our presentation today, our tech talk on real ear measurements. So go ahead and screen share. Move this off into the corner. Okay. So we're going to talk about real ear verification today. Real ear verification is a type of measurement that we use to make sure that your hearing devices are meeting their proper prescriptions. Your prescription is a really important aspect to having your hearing devices set properly for you. And because each ear is unique, our hearing can be different, the shape of our ear, the way the hearing device fits. There's a lot of variation even just between our own two ears. It's very important that everything is set properly for you. So real ear verification or real ear measures is really the best way to make sure that we're meeting our optimal performance and that you're going to get the most success with your hearing devices. And so at HearCare, we feel that it's a very important aspect to part of your treatment plan. However, statistically, less than 40% of hearing healthcare professionals are using real ear verification. And even more so than that, some people have real ear verification in their clinics, but aren't using it appropriately or effectively. So it is important, but it's not done as often or as well as it should be. We're going to learn a little bit more about it today and why we think it's so important. So part of making a prescription, you need to start with a hearing evaluation. You really can't fit a prescriptive hearing device without a proper hearing evaluation. And that's one of the first things that we want to address when you are getting hearing devices. And the prescription is only as accurate as the evaluation is itself. And the next step after we have the hearing evaluation is deciding on the right hearing device for you. Each manufacturer or brand of hearing aid uses their own formula, their mathematical equation of how they're going to process the data inputted from your hearing evaluation. And that generates a prescription, and it's called a first fit. So the hearing aid manufacturer essentially says, here's what you've given me, here's our program, we're going to make you a recommended fitting sample. And that's great. They give you a really good base to start with. So the prescription is generated in the software, and that gives us an idea of where your targets should be to get you as close to normal hearing as possible. And the strength and style and the fit of your hearing devices, all of that is then customized so that we can match those targets as best as possible. So once we have an idea of what your prescription is and where your hearing should be, real ear verification is the next step. And that shows us not just the recommended sample fit, but where are your hearing aids actually outputting sound in your ears so that we can adjust it so we can match those targets as close as possible. So this is a picture on the side here of what it looks like on our screen when we're running real ear measurements. This is just sort of a snapshot in the process. It's going to take into account the size and the shape of your ear as well as the fit of the hearing aid. So we do run a quick little test to kind of measure your ear canal and how the hearing aid fits in your ear. And then we are going to put a speaker directly in front of you, especially if you're wearing a pair of hearing devices. We want to make sure it's nice and centered and you're hearing equally from both ears. And the sound from the speaker is then picked up by the hearing aid, and the little tube that we put in your ear is going to measure the output of the hearing aid. And based on how it fits in your ear, sort of the ear canal resonance, if there's like any reverberation or echo or directional, it's going to measure and it's going to tell us exactly what we're looking for. So on the picture here, the dashed red line is where we expect your hearing to be. That's our target prescription. The thin solid red line is what's actually being measured in the ear. So in this example, it's fairly close to our suggested fit, but you can see there's a few areas below the dashed line and a few areas above the dashed line. So it's the audiologist's job to then go and make adjustments to get as close to that line as possible. The closer to the target line that we can be, the more accurate your prescription is. If we're over or under in certain areas, it can affect the overall sound quality and how you're hearing from the hearing devices. We run this test at several different levels with different types of, speech presentation to make sure that we're meeting all of the targets across the board with the hearing devices. This is a picture of the setup, just so that you can see what's going on. The blue speaker in front of the patient. Patient is wearing the hearing aid, as well as that measurement microphone and that little tube that goes into her ear. And then in the background there, you can see the computer. That's where the audiologist would be going and making those adjustments and running the test measurements. They do come in a few different models, so they don't all look exactly like that, but they all have this same basic principle. And the reason why we feel it's so important is, like I said before, every ear is as unique as a fingerprint. No two ears are the same, and they need to be properly customized for you. Having a thorough evaluation followed by real ear verification is the proper foundation of your best fit and making sure the hearing devices will be the best match for you. That's sort of the science aspect of it. Once the science aspect is complete, then the art of fine-tuning takes over. And that's where your audiologist training and experience comes into play, is how do we best adjust the hearing device to work for you specifically. But we really want to have a really strong foundation of science to get you started. And that's where having a thorough evaluation and the real ear measurements come into play. There's a great video on YouTube, if anyone wants to look it up, by Dr. Cliff Olson. He does really good videos for consumers to give them more information. And I thought he had this really great analogy. Most people have been to the eye doctor before. So you go to the optometrist, they test your vision, and they tell you you have a little bit of vision loss, and they give you a prescription. If you picked glasses up off the table, usually in the lobby, they have a bunch of frames that you can pick from to decide what looks best for your face, right? And you pick a pair off and you put them on. Well, they might actually help you see a little bit better. But what are the odds that is actually your prescription, and how do they know? So I don't know about you, but I wear contacts, and I know that I have two different lenses. One eye is stronger than the other. And when I go in to have my vision checked, they check how I'm seeing with my lenses in each eye. So they actually do measure how well my eyes are performing with and without the contacts, and one eye versus two eyes, and then both eyes together. So it's a similar type of analogy for the hearing devices. I really liked the analogy that he used in the video, so I encourage you to watch it. It gives you a lot of great detail about real ear measurements. But I think it makes it a little easier to understand that if your vision is not, set properly, it's not 20/20, that can cause problems, lazy eyes or headaches or things like that. And hearing aids are similar. We really want to make sure that it's set properly for you. And we want to measure that so that we have data to support the settings. More than just the science of the fitting and the treatment plan, hearing is not just, we're not going to put the hearing aids on and be 20/20. There's a lot more art to it than that, and everyone is different. Because hearing loss happens slowly over time, our brain starts to adapt to that change, and that becomes our new normal. When we put the hearing aids in for the first time, it can be a little overwhelming. We need to retrain our brains to get used to listening at that normal level again. So the verification process of our prescription makes sure that we're able to meet those targets, but then sometimes we have to fine tune it and adjust them for your comfort. And that's when we want to establish goals. How long are you going to wear them? What kind of environments are they going to be in? How are we going to make sure we get you to those targets? It doesn't have to be the first day or the second day, but in order to receive the benefits of treating your hearing loss with hearing devices, we do want to ultimately get to that target prescription so that we know we are helping to protect your hearing, to slow down further changes, to make sure that your cognitive health stays the same. So it is really important that we get to that target at some point, but it doesn't have to be right away. So it's a little different than glasses in that respect, where you don't get to just put them on and be 20/20 most of the time. And part of that treatment plan is a customized plan of care for you with how we're going to use return visits and follow-up appointments to check these settings and work towards those goals. And those goals are going to be unique to you. So I hope you feel like this presentation was a general overview of what real ear measurements are and how they can help you have more success with your hearing devices, and why we at HearCare feel that they're so important. If you have hearing devices and you haven't had real ear measurements done, whether or not you've purchased your hearing devices at HearCare, we are more than happy to take a look at your settings and to perform real ear for you so that you know that you're getting what you need from the hearing devices. Hopefully your provider has already done that for you and you're off to a great start, but we're always happy to help. Thank you for attending today's Tech Talk, and our next Tech Talk will be on Tuesday, October 12th with Dr. Olson. He's going to discuss different types of hearing care providers. So we look forward to seeing you then.